on to an extent. I think an overtime, still a loss, but an overtime loss against London United's new team isn't a bad result considering you're still putting together your own little thing. So let's see if they can at least get off the board. Starting on attack, you'd want to do that. I mean, Team Liquid, I guess not showing off any of their attacking defaults would be really handy as they're defending first again. They won every round on their defense on Ascent.
Yappy with his very usual kind of plays towards garage and B side, just hoping that no one's coming in there. There's a little arrow that has landed in the backside of B, but you see right there, Ryan, Liquid is transitioning over to C quiet swiftly, and the only pillar of defense already dead.
And there's nobody there to really sort of support him. Just that early util out of Nevera to get him into an aggressive position. It's going to mean that the other players of Team Liquid sort of have to keep an eye on that space. And Soulcast is going to at least assert a little bit of pressure towards C. Naturally, I think OBG is going to move towards that A site now that there's no Scream there. But in the same case, it's been watched and held very passively from Nevera. Actually, never mind. Team Liquid don't have a read on this at all, and they're stacking towards C. They can't play retake, but still, they're just leaving it open.
So Yampy's just waiting for the information arrow, the recon dart to land over there on the A side. The stars from Astra blocking the vision for any potential defenders, but they're on it. That spike is going down pretty much for sure. And it's not going to be an easy retake. Spike's finally hitting the site. Spike, in the meantime, a very irritating name, trying to help his teammate there. Coffee eliminated. Perfect stuff from Navera. Entry frag from Liquid got just pretty much done by an electrifying performance of a few shock darts. Navera is ready to get his lineups done, and that could be interesting. Ready, set, go.
Literally, Jonas is probably teaching him a lot of these ones to get him up to speed, and there it is. The trap door's opened, and everybody floods in from Liquid. Hogyon wanted to try and hold close, but gets a bit more than he bargained for. Link even pulling the attention away a second. That's a nice little retake there from Liquid.
A nice little retake is a really friendly way of putting that. Brutal stuff. And Navera instantly realizes where that spike was going, obviously. Puts his few shock darts out. Boom, first kill granted. That is wonderful to see. It's simple, it's easy, but it's successful. And that's the only thing that matters.
A good adjustment, I suppose. Liquid didn't panic losing Scream in the early rounds. I mean, why would you? If your retakes are this good, Hogyon gets all of the information that you'd want. And he's a big adjustment. I know Kakuka was saying that earlier on today of like, Hogyon, when he was on Forza, didn't play Sova. That was Artist's job. So it's a whole two players that are having to adjust to play over to the Sova. The OBG are adjusting to a lot of stuff right now, so it's understandable there'll be some growing pains.
Scream is having a very interesting fight while Zeddy is playing on the edge of the Astra smoke. Nice try, but that's a meat grinder at that point. Link shooting through it, Soulcast joining the party, and the small caliber bullets coming through and getting a bit of damage right there. But
he could have died to the Trailblazer there.
You don't want to see that.
No, 22 HP. He wants to try and get out, but Soulcast back on the Sky is going to put the pressure. Wonder how well, considering how much of a duelist he can be on an initiator role, how much the changes to Sky in the recent patch are going to tutor him a little bit. And I just don't think that in this matchup you're going to see some of the issues that Liquid will have themselves with an adjustment.
We are falling, but at least dealt a bit of damage on the set. Yet again, that shouldn't work. It shouldn't work at all. And it does. It seems to be the case. And yet, indeed, it is. And this is the thing I think the viewers out there can also take a look at. If there's one thing that's quite typical for CIS teams, and OBG being one of them, is executes at the 20-second mark, at the 25-second mark, really when the timer is being extremely low. And for example, that what we saw in the pistol round was one of those things where it seemed like it was overfought. Hopefully we don't see that at that point in time, because one thing that hasn't really been abused by OBG on Ascent on attack was the matter of fact that they never really overrun the Liquid side. That hardly happened.
Hard to do that.
True, but
like utility lineups and executes is something that's going to have to just get better over time. I think my problem with that last round is that it's Zeddy trying to push out of a smoke, like in a pop flash precision, like we just saw from Mincer. Why was it the Astra player pushing out of it there?
Oh, yeah.
The Cypher there lurking towards A, that's exactly what you want. Scream just wants to fight for this position. Zeddy, again, has a lot of first deaths to his name, certainly from that series against London United. I just don't want him to be the one being caught out. This time it's Spike.
No information gained, so therefore Link thinking nobody should be in garage, but that's a very good guiding light as it gives a valuable piece of information to the side of Liquid. Screams out of there. Very reasonable move because there's a lot of pressure on OBG. He could be in every corner. He could be close by. He could be holding this in that angle. But it seems like the decision is to split up entirely. The Spike in front of the gates of B. And in the meantime, Coffee already lurking on A.
Yeah, he's gone for way long. If he tries to check around on here, the alarm bot's going to give him up, which is a little bit problematic. So yeah, there's the reaction coming out of Yampy.
Oh no.
Sort of watching this spot. So Huggy on just to check if there's anybody playing in some of these cheeky angles. Clears the site, triggers some utility off of the site, and then gets killed in the process. Now we're starting to see Scream move over. He's going to sort of hold onto A long with a Marshall. With Zeddy still having 3 stars, they can smoke it. If they play high contact here, I'm going to be mad. They have utility, and they're just going to face and fight.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're very right about that. It's not the best showing from OBG for now, but I mean, there's still a good bunch of rounds here. And I'm just asking myself, Ryan, was there ever a competitive match in like VC, let's say in VCT entirely, worldwide, globally, with 2 13-0s?
I don't think so. Like, it reminds me of the run OG went on in the Open Qualifiers, but that's Open Qualifiers. These are teams that have not only been invited to an event, they were invited off their previous records in the year.
Yeah.
It would be a shame, to say the very least. I don't want to feel like the 8 teams that are here off form don't deserve to be, especially because Forza did so well.
I think they impressed a lot of people, or surprised a lot of people, let's say it that way, during the last chance qualifier. And OBG right here trying to take a bit of garage control, trying to surprise someone like Yampy in that position.
He's hard to surprise.
True. Ice cold, as I would say, but getting away from that. Scream's also getting away from that B side. He's gonna be spotted, known, and actually flash. This is a good combination. Nice try with the gravity well. Good one, but it doesn't work as they have expected. And so the B side might belong to OBG, but it's not ideal, Ryan.
I just like the fact the Scream was like, okay, you're pulling me here, I'm just gonna use it to peek you. And he continues on for the 4K. Between the 2 brothers, they ace it. I don't think there's a brothers ace call out that you get from the lady in the game. That'd be weird. Like you'd get Shanks and Poise from Rise doing it. That'd be about it.
What about second grade cousins? Is there also a call out for that?
One enemy remaining. Flawless.
I like what OBG... I don't want to be too down on OBG because they could just turn it around because the exact same thing that is playing in front of us, to a lesser extent, was happening to Guild. And then Guild started to look a little bit better on attack, and then he ended up taking Icebox and surprised everybody.
True.
It ain't over till the fat lady sings, but OBG, I mean, this has not been... It's not instilled me with confidence. Even if they lose, there's very little to take from this.
True.
Despite these players actually having good success, Coffee being on Sky, which has always been good to watch, I think the biggest pain point is like Huggy on the Silver. It looks uncomfortable. And we just haven't seen enough from Spike and Minter.
True. It was a good execute the previous round. I mean, it was a very nice set piece, but Scream...
On B, yeah.
Yeah, that was a very nice set piece, totally. But Scream was just too experienced to panic in such a situation. Spike might panic when suddenly all the nanoswarm is coming close to him. Bit of confirmation that the B side is clear. That has been gained by him, but it's not making it any better at the moment. The information dart is not getting anything. Scream, funny-wise, failing to do that and nearly dies. They're now taking the route to the A side. Taking that back. It's actually B where the spike goes down, but they pushed him back massively.
I feel like so many players that we've seen today, you've seen Scream, they're not overextending, they're being very intelligent with what duels they want to face. So many players have just had that instilled and drilled into them. They've just been performing better. And it's still the flashy Scream that you expect, but now Spike and Coffee have found an opening. With the spike being planted, the retake is going to be a difficult one. Scream could still be irritating and annoying, especially when he has Yampy to back him up. Coffee finally coming online, finally looking to lock in 1 round in this series. Unless Link has something to say, but there's not much time.
Now there's neither time nor chances coming in for Link, as he has been an exceptional player during that Ascent game, but they're losing the operator. It's hella expensive for a team that just won a round. Liquid, they got very fake wallets right here. There's $1 bill after another in that, but in the meantime, OBG, well, on the breadline.
Yeah, just a couple of small mistakes, to be honest. But when you're playing up against teams like Liquid and of that caliber, you could say the same about like Anubis, Oxygen and stuff. They're not bad teams by any stretch, but if you make a small mistake, the teams that have been at that international level will punish it, bar none.
That's the thing. It's absolutely the thing. And we've seen that so many times on Ascent, where you gave them an inch that the mile was drastic consequences for OBG.
Concealment.
And now they're taking their time. Bit of Fuka control, a bit of garage control here, or at least lurking into it. Bit of holding it up. But the good thing about Liquid is they're extremely patient. They know that there's no need for them to gift any opportunities to OBG to get an entry.
The movement's almost mechanical. Just the way that they're keeping an eye on it. Just the Sky and the Silver placement on defense. Like a picture, it's just symmetrical with how they're playing this. So far off, so passive, letting the utility do the talking. The one breath, they do have a path open to the A site, but it's purposefully left open. That Seekers is going to be nice, but I'm actually quite surprised that the lockdown was placed preemptively. There isn't that much time for OBG to go anywhere else, but now that they found it opening onto Scream, I think this preemptive ult might have been a little bit of a waste.
There's still 30 seconds left, so there's more than enough time, technically
30
speaking.
seconds left.
And the Soulcast might have a bit of a problem there. Knows one of them is standing there elevated. Clear vision out back for him. Spike has to go down. Yampi's utility being used quite well. And as he's sucked into the gravity well, no real chance. The man's fully blind. But that brings us in a man advantage for the side of OBG. 12 more seconds. That shock dart doesn't land anywhere. And now it is time for a clutch. Navira start off with one of those, as that 3 versus 4 scenario is not ideal. Link still flanking around, is making a quite good move and might just prepare the frack off of Coffee, who has to now move away. Link with another, the double is secured, and here he's setting his star. He's pulling them in, and that means Coffee on his own. Can he clutch that one out? It looks so. It's one more standing on the side of B. It is nobody else than Link, and Coffee's coming in there to save the day for OBG. It's so needed for them after that one successful round, the first successful round of the series, to directly come up with a consecutive one, and that's the rightful clutch you want to see.
Just a Coffee being able to sort of come back online. Last 2 rounds that we've seen OBG able to win. Coffee's got more kills, or the same amount of kills, than he managed on the entirety of Ascent. Like, he is a really good Sky, and we get to see that come online. There's a Seekers available now as well. So now Liquid are under not too much pressure. They're still not going to be sweating, but now they've had a bit of a response finally after however many rounds now into the 20s between the series.
Scout destroyed.
It's just whether we see Liquid wanted to change stuff up, if there's anything about their defaults on defense that aren't working. But right now, they've just ran into some individual brilliance out of one breath.
Take flight.
We're going to take a bit of information over there on Garage. Not too much he has gained from that. And that's at least alarm but down. With a minute left on the clock, you might get that lurk over in that position, but OBG setting themselves up for the A site. And that's going to be interesting to see what they will deliver at that point.
This time Liquid aren't actually playing off of the site at all. They're going to try and take a bit more space. Maybe Scream just maybe found more than he was looking for. Now with the Cosmic Divide coming in, the Astra utility is starting to really work for Zeddy, despite not having any kills at this point, I don't think. And Spike now with the attack op, starting to see why he was put on this team.
And this is so unfortunate for Scream, because he was trying to help his brother there on the side with the blades he had, but he had to get those Seekers eliminated. And in the meantime, oh, Spike with what a whiff! That's the last thing you want to see. Yumpy is definitely elevated in a dangerous spot, but now he might have a good surprise momentum. As suddenly Link is getting another. This is a 2 versus 2. This is winnable, but this is a shot Yumpy whiffs. It's only one more standing, and it's Zeddy who chimes in as well. The IGL from OBG is coming in to secure a third. He's looking behind him. You've seen that, guys? Yep, that was working well. And OBG revitalized.
finally getting off the board. 4 and 6 now, and you wanted to see that from Zeddy anyway. I just think that the Ascent game that we saw was a blip in the radar to OBG. I'm not saying OBG are necessarily going to come back and reverse sweep just yet, but I think when you have Zeddy on that Astra, you have Coffee on that Sky, that is the thing that makes this team work. Playing Zeddy on the Omen, Coffee on the Sage just didn't work, and now Sliggy's going to have a word with the team. It is an eco for them, so they're likely going to be seeing one breath ties up for all. Not really as convincing as you might want to see, but at the same time, this isn't a map that Liquid rely on too much. They've played it 3 times in the last 95 days.
It's hopefully OBG who draw on his energy they gained from those last 3 rounds, because that's something I'd love to see from them. Really make that move back into the game, have the opportunity to secure themselves at least the access to the third map. That's something you want to see, because ignore that 13-0. You're fully right. Ignore it. It happens. Whatever. Let that be. I mean, considering specifically the guys who won Masters Berlin have actually lost 1-13 on Ascent against SMB during Emea Challenger playoffs. This was their start. Like, when you lose 1-13, everybody's like, whatever, right?
It's done. I think as well, realistically, for OBG, it's just about finding that confidence. Because you're a team that's only been scrimming for, I can't, probably no more than 2 weeks at the very least. They've been boot camping for 1 week, as far as I know. There are going to be gaps in your map pool that get severely exploited. You can't ban out 2 maps yet. We haven't got Fracture in the 7 map pool this time, so it's the same systems that we've had since Stage 3 started and Breeze was added in. I think the Scream off a little bit is an interesting one. Soulcast was trying to sort of play off of Scream, but there's trade-outs with the big sniper rifle. And Spike has had some impact, but he's also spaghettied a lot of rounds, to say that. Like, just some of the stuff that he's done leaves me scratching my very bald and now molding head with some of those plays.
Well, let's hope that's not going to be a play that leaves us with our hat scratching. As OBG is sneaking over on the C side. Link now most definitely on the radar. Uses the smoke in his favor, but he gotta make a move. Zeddy is gonna be eliminating him, but Scream is still there to keep on fighting. The Hunter's Fury is not getting much more. And there's the counterpart. Here it goes. Navira is using it wisely. Tags one, and he knows someone is more towards his left-hand side. That deals some damage to his brother, but it doesn't matter. That spike goes down. Yep, valid information. And now he's like, why did you use the shock dart there? Oh no, that's unfortunately whiff, but I mean, that can happen from time to time. The triple, the third kill already secured for Scream. He's looking for more, but not with Coffee. Navira now needs to clean the side. Gets the one over there onto Huggion, and now it's one more. It's done and dusted. The clutch is secure. The operator brought home revenge for his brother that got killed previous.
He's like, don't try and fist bump me, I still need to defuse. Like, running backwards. It's just moments like that. I'm still surprised Spike got a kill. It's just, if you're stood in this position, you should know better that the scope's going to show.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the Origin skin as well. He's got that to look forward to as well. Like, oh, all of these skins have been added into the last year. They're all so nice. But it's... a round that is very decent from Liquid. It was just the one gun that they had, pretty much, that was an operator, Hunter's Fury dedicated, and a smart clutch. I think that's one thing you can say about Navira coming from CS, is he is a very smart player, and he's been amongst some of the smart players like Apex, some real elites in that field, supportive players. He must have learned a ton from them.
He played with the best French players, period. He played with,
Zywoo, yeah.
By far, the best and most experienced players in France. And this is giving you a lot. This is giving you a lot of game sense. This is giving you a lot of understanding in first-person shooters. With Scream, hold on, that's an awkward duel, but okay, let it be, let it be.
I think there's definitely a sense of just no fear from Liquid right now.
Yeah.
Which could blow back. I think it would be nice to see OBG make this map close in a similar vein to what we saw from Anubis yesterday. Really shows that there are problems in how the maps are selected that can very much be exploited. And considering OBG didn't ban out Ascent, I think that's pretty much SMB's map pick, if that's the game that we see tomorrow.
True.
So we'll have to really come to terms with that overall, but now OBG are making things difficult, and Yampi 2 of the op.
There's not too many opportunities for him, and milliseconds away from being killed right there. Needs to do himself the favor and saving that operator, and there it goes. A very awkward round. I mean, that was a kind of weird round, to be very honest with you. I didn't expect that to pan out that way, but here it goes. Obg is delivering a decent fight over here on the attack side. It's going to be very interesting once they're moving over to defense, because one thing you mentioned earlier, Liquid is not too known for being the best attackers, for having the best threats, the best defaults, the best kind of ideas how to approach your defending opponent. And that might be a good opportunity for Obg.
Similar round to what we saw before. Round number 8 that Liquid were able to pull together with a retake. It did dedicate a big ultimate, and there is a lockdown available. Seeker's soon coming up. Scream really wants to get this Blade Storm, so he has some form of buy together, but needs the protection of Nevera. Vincent's just going to win that duel. He has the better weaponry. I don't know if he's going to expect another player in this spot. And Scream just wants to get the orb, get the Blade Storm online. I don't think he's going to expect Minza in this little cubby on his right-hand side.
He's not even being tagged. Okay, taking that one back.
Here.
Pardon.
Flashed. Good support from Soulcast, though, to help get him out.
And that was the game changer, the round changer, being dropped on the ground. The operator's out with Yampi, leaving us with 1 minute and 2 ults on the side of Team Liquid. And Obg are kind of annoying in the sense that they're really omnipresent. Like, there's always somebody on a position you don't necessarily expect it to be. In this case, it is Spike, but can't assist his teammates right there.
Doesn't have a dash.
Yep, that's problematic. Oh, he knows he has to take the fight. Can't do much more than that.
Standing ahead.
For a second, I think he sort of cleared his mind a little bit. Soulcast is able to get that lurk onto Spike. And pick up the gun, it's maybe worthwhile, especially if he can take some of that attention. Link might have been able to sneak by because he's kept a keen eye. Now, round number 5 on the board from looks of it from OBG. This is much better. This is a team that you sort of look towards and go, okay, there's potential there, but I do certainly look at like it being the Coffee and Zeddy show to an extent. I think Spike's created space, Mince's found some timings, Huggion is still adjusting to a new role, but there is potential there.
Exactly. I mean, there's a good enough potential there. That's very true. And
Revealing area.
this is what matters the most to me right here, right now, for OBG, because you don't want to have such a disaster once more as you've seen it previously. And to be fair, I mean, Liquid, regarding their attacking side, to give it a little bit of a perspective into the future, it is their second best attacking map right here, Haven. And that's obviously going to be interesting to see if that will translate into this game, if that will transfer into that one. But for now, it's a little unfortunate how Liquid let a few rounds slip away, because I didn't expect it seemed to be some sort of sloppy mistakes that cost them a few here, but either way, still 2 more chances to get the lead.
Yeah, it's not been comfortable for either team to say the very least. Haven, you're going to see a bit more of that individualistic play style. I won't say puggy, because I don't think that's really it, but just finding fights on your own. That's exactly what Zeddy, Coffee, all of One Breath have been able to do. It's difficult to read a team that is very early on. It's like new poker players. They're the hardest to play up against for professionals just because they're complete wildcards. And maybe with OBG, this Cosmic Divide, it might be more of the same. Scream wants to check it out for a bit more info.
And tries to have a surprise and gets at least 2. That's a perfect teamwork in combination with Soulcast. As Nura is using that Cosmic Divide in his own favor, no stabs have been hurt there on short, but it doesn't change the fact that Yampi is getting Mince and Huggion on long, eliminated as well. That was quiet smooth here for Liquid. This is getting them number 6.
Last round in the half.
The more those plays become instinctive for Liquid, the better they will look. Because I think that's one of the areas that was lacking. Even when Scream was playing KO, just everything was super formulaic, clunky to use. That felt from both Soulcast's perspective and Scream's, it became second nature. Now, attack timeout just before we go into the defending half of One Breath. They want to even up the scores. I don't think that's a bad look. And whilst I think that Liquid don't look too bad on the attack on this map at the very least, like you said, it's a different composition, it's a different player, and on average, Liquid's attacking sides don't look that great. They only had to win 1 on a Sen, but if they had to win a couple more, I think the game would have been a hell of a lot closer.
Good point.
Maybe not a hell of a lot closer, but like...
Closer.
Yeah.
Fully with you on that one. I mean, it's decent stuff. OBG is delivering, don't get me wrong, but Liquid, for me personally, not showing the same kind of focus we saw on Ascent. It's kind of unfortunate to witness.
Yeah, to be fair, I think it was round 5 that we saw attack timeout. Well, from Jonta. Might be wrong. Might be mixing it up. I think it's one of those areas where like something was changed for OBG that started to find a bit more success. I think as well, just getting that first round on the board in a series as a new fresh team in an official of this caliber is always going to be difficult, especially when Liquid want to showboat their new player.
Interesting dart.
I saw Coldamenta using that one.
Yeah. It's kind of unique to see. At the same time, lovable. Scream now, waiting on the high ground. Spike's not even aware of what's happening to him. And so they got the entry. Scream with a good one right here.
Is destroyed.
But they're focusing on A again. Most definitely a side they have enjoyed so far very much. The Seekers are coming out. Yumpy knows he can't do too much with the operator. He's backing off. They're leaving them that A site.
Yeah, I like the fact that the Cosmic Divide, whilst it's not being used as a retake, it is forcing Huggion to bring out that Owl drone. It doesn't really get that much information. There is a lockdown still available for Yampy. Now it's going to come in on time. Link just kind of gets the timing a little bit off, but still gets the kill nonetheless onto Coffee. Now more util has been planted. Mincer just trying to escape. Scream might be able to at least get halfway at this point. And for some reason, Zeddy walks back into the Killjoy ult and gets detained.
And not only that, for another reason, they didn't start defusing. The ult was blocking that, but either way, Link starts. Okay, goes on. There comes the right click. Yampy whiffs. This is not good. This is not ideal. The spike diffuser has been killed, but it should be enough. That's working out, and that's giving them the number 7.
Just enough time for Nivera to get in place. Yeah, 7-5. OBG, the tap pause, had to really get a gauge. It's also kind of a difficult one as well because you've had a tap pause just on the last round and now the whole board flips and you have to do something else. So, like Jonta was saying, going into the defending side, let's do this. Otherwise, that's problematic. This was weird from both teams. It wasn't clean from Liquid, but I suppose you'll take it and it's good to see Nivera in those, okay, this is kind of getting out of control moments. He still shows up.
True. And this is where it's getting really interesting. If you can carry that momentum over, Liquid, as logic demands it, have won both pistol rounds so far in this series. Who could have guessed? Let's see if they can carry that over. Done the same always here on the first half as well, and maybe it's going to be the kickstart they want once they're attacking here.
I was just thinking then, like, did Liquid win the pistols on the Sen? I was like, oh yeah, it's a 13-0. Only required one pistol round on attack to close out the map. Teddy wants to try and take those fights. It's a nice little duel and an angle to catch on to Scream. And this is where Liquid, you know, have to try and clean up after themselves and just going to reset off of the B site entirely.
Ouch, Yampy getting dinked. But that's a bit of information at least gained. Spike knows in front of A, there's nothing really awaiting us. For the moment, you have to say. That's a very important detail added to it. But Spike is in a kind of... I mean, he can dash away, don't get me wrong, but... That thing's gone then. Players might be chasing after him. Good dink on Soulcast. He's still going for it. Finally, he dashes away. Is not going to be inflicting anything by that gravity well. And so, Liquid change direction towards Garage it is.
Placing swarm grenade.
One Breath's hold has just been very passive. Sort of anchoring onto these positions. Mincer's not actually going to be spotted by the recon dart. Just finds a nice little position for it, but the follow-up is there with utility and Yampy. Now, he's only 9 HP. Soulcast didn't have to heal anyway.
Yep.
So whilst the plant does go in for Liquid, One Breath peppered them down.
Player standing.
Brought it just to Nivera.
Yeah, and that man got to perform right now. Can he get many kills out of that? Not one at all. Spike him in with the lurk over C-Long. That caused the chaos. That made it problematic. That was the way they could pincer them to get that diffuse through. The teammate is well deserved. And this could be the start of a journey towards map number 3.
Maybe. I mean, it'd be very different to what I expected after the first map. Quite surprised that Huggion hasn't got 1 assist on the solo.
That's actually true.
Last player standing.
Very
really
anti-Leo.
worked out that well. You want to see more of that. Like, obviously involved in the kills, gets one there at the end against Nivera. No force up from Liquid. I've got to say, like, there's a stark difference between what we saw from Liquid on Ascent versus now, and you would have hoped that they can take this series a clean 2-0 going into Guild, which is a match that you still kind of fancy Liquid on, but if OBG are making Liquid bleed like this on this map, never really know. It's not the full momentum that you want to see coming out of them going into this tournament.
Well, maybe OBG are just continuing the legacy of the Kingslayers with what they've done to FPX, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Liquid losing to CIS teams as well, the 2 losses they had in stage 3, Navi and Gambit.
very true. But I mean, it's a different caliber of CIS team. In the meantime, the shooting doesn't look like it's any weaker. Good stuff here from Spike, as only Soulcast and Yappy remain. I mean, that's kind of painful, but it's working out. And as still the majority of OBG dies, this is the point where we gotta keep our eyes peeled on Liquid. This is the moment where the real weapons are coming out. And as they deliver us the first buy round over here on attack, that should be where everything is being turned around. This is where Liquid should close the case.
Yeah, put them under the magnifying glass a little bit to see what sort of cracks start to show a little bit. I'm sure some of the other teams in this tournament will be really curious on how Liquid wants to perform here. I also really wanted to quickly say, like, OBG as a team, like Mincer Spike, OBG never got to those EMEA playoffs kind of events. This is a messy fight to say the least, but they were always in amongst a pack of CIS teams who could maybe make it. Like them and Singularity, they were close, but no cigar.
True. Spike starts with good Nivera. Talking about showing the barrel. There you go. It's only the kind of problem on the A side where it's not only one player standing, it's the one with the sort of worst weapon. I mean, we could argue Spectre, Sheriff, so on and so on, but 30 bullets against multiple players coming towards you is a benefit.
Class feeling a little bit pressured to use that Trailblazer, a little bit shallower. He just doesn't know if there's going to be a player in around that Suez position, but now realizes that it's clear from the back of his util. Liquid going to find that open site. It's going to be a really tough retake considering the buy is heavily in favor in Team Liquid. But if OBG can take a couple of guns out of their hands, and the lockdown dedicated,
okay,
OBG just be a pain. You can give up this round, make Team Liquid bleed a little more.
Oh, hold on. He's trying to find the kill with Minza for sure. Both are swinging. Good try, good opportunity, and only a few HP left, Autogian. But they're trying to make it expensive, and that might work. Specifically considering Rossetti stands right now. He's just hoping for it. He prays for it, but at the same time, it's again with so low HP that they're just going to exit over their spawn. And unfortunately for Zeddy, not much is coming except Soulcast. He saw the shoulder, right?
He saw it.
He saw the shoulder. Nope. Well, maybe. I don't know. At the same time, costly. Liquid only bringing through 2 players in a buy round with OBG now coming in with the real big ones.
With an ult as well, an ult like lockdown. I guess if you get it early, you want to be throwing it out as soon as possible.
I should probably play some
Was it needed in the end? It's hard to really get a gauge. Clearly they didn't see another buy. Now here's the other timeout from OBG. So we didn't see one early. It was just an adjustment they made round 5 to really sort of start to pull things back. There's some stuff that Jonta wants to quickly chime in with the team. And I do think that as the rounds have gone on, that confidence is there for OBG. They've looked a lot cleaner. It's not ideal, to say the very least, but you start to sort of see this is very similar to what we saw at Forza. Because on Ascent, they looked completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Two different
I mean,
beasts.
Different team, period. Totally different team. It was... I don't know. Sorry, little brother was playing something. But
I mean, literally in the case for Team Liquid at this point, but
it's
the
true.
little brother is just as good as the big brother.
Yeah.
If not better in a lot of different ways. They're just, I think people expecting Nivera to come into that roster and be like Scream might be a little disappointed, but I think what he brings to the table is exactly what Liquid could definitely need.
Yeah, and I think it's also very... I don't know if anyone was thinking that, but I'm very convinced it's not only due to the fact that he Scream's little brother. He created his own little legacy.
It's almost like dismissive of how good he is.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, people from Valorant that don't follow CS are not going to know that, but this guy is good. And he's probably been under a little more stress this map, certainly against Ascent. But even on an agent like Sova, the lineups, he sort of has a good idea on how to do stuff. The funny thing is as much as Team Liquid have changed their comp, their players, some things just stay the same. That being 5-man XX onto a side. There's just no defaults.
Well, that's Team Liquid for you. And so, as they're trying to go for the B side, as a big snowball rolling onto that, there they come. Zeddy finds the first. Scream eliminated. That's one of the duelists. That's the only duelist part. Nat already eliminated from the game, and so they back off. Coffee with a lot of pressure together with Spike. They're not giving them any options, and you talked about it. No defaults. This happens. This happens when you have no defaults.
Coffee is still on that angle. Don't really think that he would have survived there if he stayed and tried to play a bit more coy, so he just flashes himself out to safety. I think you still take that space, and you take the fact that you made Team Liquid a little bit nervous. They have to re-clear a lot of space. With 33 seconds left, they're not even going to attempt going towards that site anymore. They're going to run into some tripwires. There's a camera still there from Mincer. I want to see more out of him, but he's going to be playing off the site and playing more of a retake. But let's see if Decipher Utility can have impact. That's where the execute's heading onto the C site.
And it seems like they'll leave that rather open. Into seeing what he can do together with Huggion. That's a nice opportunity. Yampi has a quite nice flank, though, as he waits back into garage window. He's once more swinging against Zeddy. Hits a good timing once more. And so Navera and Yampi still in a 2 versus 3 situation. Can turn this one around. He sticks it. The box is still bangable, but it's only one more. Oh, Navera's jumping around. But finally he falls. Awkward duel, but nevertheless, success for OBG. Again.
I mean, OBG must have felt comfortable because they got the Neuro Theft onto Mincer and he just didn't use it. He didn't feel pressured enough to throw out an ultimate. He was like, I think we've got control of this, that we can save it for a round going forward. So, yeah, this is starting to get exciting now. I think the first map, it turned into the Zesht and Ryan podcast when it came to just talking about some of the stuff happening. But now we're starting to see OBG come to life. And it's not the first time that Liquid start off on the right foot against a team they realistically should be beating and kind of fluff their lines a little bit.
How do we call that podcast? A Bolden in German.
Yeah, that's great. I can work with that. You've already got a quiz show, now you've got a podcast. You're really branding yourself out there.
Yeah. No, I think...
Have you got a quiz prep for this time?
I always got a file.
You've
always got a backup file. Always
Cameron's like, are you ready? And you're like,
what's the first name of Cypher?
Ooh, I genuinely don't know.
I could leave the guys in.
Yeah, you can let like Twitch and YouTube answer that one.
Exactly.
Yeah, just sort of field it through.
You have to tune in tomorrow to figure out. Tip.
Yeah, I gotta say, to be fair, thinking about this, considering it was a 13-0, I think we have been nicer to OBG than maybe Mitch and Tom would have been.
Specifically Tom.
Yeah.
Specifically Tom.
Tom doesn't hold back, but that's why he's great. You want the honest truth. And I think as well with this being... It should always be the top 8 teams in EMEA that haven't made it to champions yet.
Yeah.
You are always wanting to call out teams that you kind of think, like, you expect more. But we're in a technical pause right now, so now we can legit just be a bit of a podcast for a bit and just chill. Hope you've been enjoying the show. The whole show, not this. You don't need to talk about this too much.
True. I mean, about Tom, I think it's the most cynical and lovable person at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does that.
I got a question for people. You don't need to answer this.
Okay.
So in this tournament, Fracture is not available, the 7th map. I know people always have mixed opinions on a new map, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
I guess, would you have wanted to see it in this tournament? I'm glad that we don't have it, because it means that we get that sense of consistency with balance changes with agent, like team players and stuff like that. I'm really excited to see Pro Play and Fracture because it's just so out there with the 4 quadrants. But I'm happy for it to be left a while till we'll see it in VCT. Because I'm 100% sure we're going to see it in Champions at least.
It would have been specifically problematic for teams like footballers who had tons of time, right? And then their teams just coming pretty much fresh from Berlin. That would have been kind of unfair to a certain degree. This is why it's really good ruling on it, and I think it's the only way to keep it consistent, as you mentioned.
It's really fun to play. It's a very Valorant map, to say the very least. And it's cool to be able to say that.
I mean, Lofa already says Breach is really good on it. So
I think Viper's pretty good as well.
True,
Depends on the
agreed.
teams. Like, what agents people play is going to be the biggest question. But we're back in. The show is over, but this one is back on its feet, and it's real exciting fashion now. Team Liquid are showing a couple of those red flags that we've seen from them in the past, and Scream on the back of this Thrifty with a Bladestorm in hand wants to really send a message to One Breath.
And at this point in time, I just hope it's not the nerves for Liquid, because this is something that cost them the games from time to time. Good piece of memory right here could be the Gambit overtime on Icebox we see during Emea Challenger playoffs. Well, they did a great comeback. It didn't succeed in the end. And I have to be honest, at this point in time, I wouldn't be surprised if we go on map number 3. I honestly would not be surprised.
It'd just be a nice turnaround.
True.
The people are like, this is done, 13-0, you know, I'm going to turn off the stream for a bit, because Liquid have 100% gone up the upper bracket. And I can just imagine it overall. There's been some nice little switcheroos across the day. Very interesting. I'm getting whiplash of how these games have been swinging.
Yeah.
But if it swings the direction of OBG, that's certainly a talking point, whichever way you look at it. And that's all down to Zeddy for the most part. His position given up. Ooh. Team Liquid is there to capitalize.
I mean, considering the weaponry we saw, but no! Oh, it's another barrel that has been spotted! But in the meantime, somewhere around the map, Spike is finding a triple. Navira's out, and same goes for Link, as well as Soulcast. Useful ability that has been gone. Oh, he's dashing over. This is good from Spike. And now Mins is turning that one around. It's crazy considering Liquid came into that, dashing onto the side, being swift and fast, getting those sheriffs and daggers out of there. And somewhere, in a different universe, Spike was getting one after another after another. And in the meantime, Ryan, what we see here is an Astra being one ult orb away, a Sova having it ready, a Cypher having it ready, a Jet having it ready. Hard times for Liquid.
That was off the back of an eco. I wonder if Sliggy's going to feel the need to have a call again. It's an awkward position. But Spike has found his feet a little bit more. You always want to rely on that confidence as a Jet player. I think we've seen that throughout the day, throughout the tournament. Those moments where things are starting to feel good. And that's not going to be the case for Liquid. It's a very different environment to what we saw on Ascent. Spike has been great up until he gets domed in from Yampi. Wants to sort of follow the Seekers wherever he can find it, and Minza just gets caught out. Navira's there to try and break through all of these smokes with the recon. It's a difficult retake, and a lot of space has to be given up from OBG, and the Hunter's Fury is going to come in to try and get the planter.
Right kind of bait at that point in time. Oh, nope, not getting anyone. I mean, Hunter's Fury in the beginning of the game seemed to be the ultimate ult, but everyone understood at one point that it's not too hard to dodge that thing. OBG considering if they even want to go for it, because it seems like they're not too eager and not too keen to take the initiative. And they won't. 3 rifles saved. That's the only thing that matters. Let Liquid have that one. It's not too crucial. It's not too important. Maybe even finding exits on this would be really nice, considering that Team Liquid will then economically look a little feeble. But there it goes. And this is the thing, right? It's one swift go, it's one fast go, it's working over on C, ta-da. It's the Liquid kind of beat, really.
The Liquid kind of beat. Maybe we'll see them do like a world song, like 100 Thieves did.
That would be cool. I mean, the production quality of Liquid is really good. That would probably be a banger song.
You know it's good quality when it comes to sort of like the agent stuff that Team Liquid had in their initial announcement.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Those kind of like graphics and assets. I don't know if it's the same person, but you see it in the official, like this broadcast. We saw a little bit of it in the intro. Like the hype video for this stage has been amazing. They always are in EMEA.
True, very, very true. Not like the distorted, weird, psychedelic video of NA. What was that?
No, we aren't just the best region in the world when it comes to that. Also production. I am excited to see NA at LAN in a studio.
True.
That's going to be fun. We got our own studio. It's nice to be able to cast here as well.
Absolutely.
And
Because
I just want to see Liquid reign control over this again. And the Hunter's Fury catching on to Zeddy. He's also still throwing out utility at the same time to hold things down. And it's done relatively well.
It's crazy how Coffee gets that kill onto Scream, but you're shooting for the smoke. I mean, the opponents can do the same. Hogyon is connecting. No, and that is not working. Jonas is not happy about that. as it could have been quite good to not only deny or at least deal damage over the player who's waiting back on the spike, but no, he's not going to be there in time. He's being detained. Spike with his daggers is being detained, and this means a crucial part of the retake is walking there with his hands like it would be in handcuffs, but now they're moving on as they try to take out the players on side. That's a quite decent dart. We saw Naviris though taking out Spike, and that could have been a quite good one. No chance at all. Huggion tries his best, but the Amphi shot process and sealing the deal.
We want to see that explosiveness out of Team Liquid.
Oh yeah.
Where they found a lot of success just to play off. They're punishing Zeddy. Zeddy's still able to try and get quite a lot done when it comes to trying to slow down Team Liquid with the gravity wells and the like. It's just something that Obg failed to sort of maybe see coming, because we haven't seen Team Liquid really explode onto a site with that velocity. Across the few rounds that we've seen so far.
It's there they are. The little sheriffs in hand. That can be more dangerous than some expect, because usually, very obviously, in such rounds, teams tend to do unorthodox stuff, which can be more crazy than some might think, like pushing through the mid window with 4 players.
Nice little bit of a crunch that could maybe come in, but I think that relies on Huggion not dying here. He is solely on his own. Using a recon dart early, and Yampi.
Oh, that's dangerous.
That's so much information, and the fact that he's still able to survive. Flash and a follow-up, not quite there, but Soulcast is actually
good. That's
creeping out of sewers and gets the triple kill.
And he's getting the triple kill by really smart duels, as he's really isolating one player by one, because altogether, this hailstorm of sheriff shots would have easily gotten you killed. But the Bob Marley round, Ryan, not as successful.
Don't start. The Bob Marley, I just butchered his name entirely. That's how much it broke my brain that you mention it. So for those that don't understand, because Zesh did this on a broadcast before, he said, oh, that's a Bob Dylan round. And I was like, what is that?
Worst.
It's like, he shot the sheriff.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fair enough. And then the funny part is, it's not even Bob Dylan. It's Bob Marley that sings that song.
It was the wrong kind of memory in my head. I'm sorry. But pop culture references, get that out of my way. In the meantime, Soulcast is saying that sell to the trio of Obg. This is like the crunch round. This is the one that matters. This is the one that has the fate of Obg in its hands. Spike swinging wide.
Very heavy. Oh, the fate of one breath is in this round.
Kind of true, though.
I think the tempo has been a lot faster from Team Liquid. I mean, the chaos that's going to be in one breath comes when these kind of high tempos are set. It's just going to be difficult for a new team. You've got new voices, new players, expectations on who should be watching what. If they can just sort of run over Zeddy a little bit, that's where a lot of that success can be found. Cosmic Divide is going to come out of Link, and Scream's taking a lot of space, going to peek on top of the big stack of boxes to sort of push on through, but Zeddy's closed that distance.
Yep.
This could make or break the round.
Oh, and that's problematic, but Scream, he's eliminated. Spike's considering his next move, as once he's getting out of there on the elevated position, it's not that nice, but whatever you have, we got that too. Nice option right here, and also the Nanoswarm is going to disappear at one moment. But do they know Soulcast is that close around? Just a quick reload behind it, obviously the smartest move to do, and they didn't seem to have that on the radar. No, this cannot happen. This is not the way it should go. This is not the way it should go. Huggion is trying his best, but this is pretty much done. This round is going in favor of Liquid 100%. And this is the thing, right?
Out of charges.
Once more, one of the questions you gotta ask yourself, is Cypher the right option in the lineup of Obg? Because one thing we saw from Liquid on the B side, they could leave it somewhat empty due to the fact that there are 2 Nanoswarms there, execute that, you can't easily plan. Obg don't have that option. They need manpower.
I don't even know if it's that. I think it's just, it's such a small error for Zeddy to make to leave a little bit of a cubby for Soulcast to make for himself. Soulcast was prepped for that anyway. He kept a hold of one of his guiding lights to pop flash his way through. We saw that a lot. We saw it plenty yesterday. But just having that little gap makes it complicated. And you know when there's enough of a gap where you can put a Killjoy turret in it, and it does a lot of work and makes things difficult. Like Obg, it's just those small margins. The teams like Liquid are going to punish night and day, especially tenured players like Soulcast that are going to spot those openings and really just open them up.
Valiant effort throughout the entirety of Haven from Obg. It's not over. I mean, we said something very similar when we saw Guild there on Icebox. And here they come. That's fast, that's swift. They're definitely keen to get them from many different positions. Spike is just waiting. Oh, the timing could be on. Nope, it's not the case. Scream is making a far move deep into spawn. And if he hits the right timing, he might just get them all. This could be a magic moment for him. At the point he's moving around, he does. Now he turns around, and how many kills is he getting? 1, 2, that's a good start. The triple might be secured. No, it's gonna happen. Yes, it is. That is more than enough, but it's still possible. It's still the opportunity for Obg to make a move right here. As SETI, though, falls. The smokes are pretty much non-existent, and you gotta fight against Free. You're standing out in the open, and there you have it. A brilliant shot to end it. It's Liquid with that 13-9.